What if the thing you thanked for became the wound that ruined you? And what if the thing you cursed, feared, and tried to escape was the very thing that came to save your life? We judge too quickly. We call comfort good because it feels gentle. We call pain bad because it feels cruel. But life is rarely that simple. Some blessings rot in our hands. Some hardships cut us open only to keep us alive. Tonight's story is about a man who learned too late that not everything sweet is mercy, and not everything bitter is punishment. The Gift. A young man named Elian. He was known for two things: his kindness and his bad luck. He worked harder than most, yet always seemed to gain less. Others built families, fields, and futures. Elian built only survival. So when fortune finally came to his door, the whole village rejoiced for him. A wealthy merchant passed through the village one autumn and took notice of Elian's honesty. Before leaving, the merchant handed him a heavy pouch of silver and the deed to a fertile piece of land near the river. People called it a miracle. At last, Elian had been chosen by life instead of ignored by it. At last, something good had found him. And for a while, it was good. The land was rich. The crops came fast. The silver gave him comfort he had never known. His home grew warmer. His hands grew softer. His hunger ended. But so did something else. His discipline. He stopped rising early, stopped helping neighbors, stopped valuing what little things used to mean. The silver made him less grateful. The land made him proud. Soon, he no longer spoke like a poor man who had been rescued. He spoke like a man who believed he had always deserved more than everyone else. And little by little, the gift began to change him. The Loss. Not far from his land lived an old widow named Mara. She had almost nothing. A broken fence, thin chickens, a roof that complained in winter. And yet she carried herself with a strange calm that annoyed Elian. He looked at her life and saw failure dressed as peace. Then, one spring, the river swelled. Rain fell for days. The water rose higher each night until it broke its banks and came tearing through the valley like a beast finally unchained. Elian's rich riverside land was the first thing it took. The crops drowned. The house split at its base. The silver chest vanished into the current. By morning, the blessing that had made him proud was gone. Elian fell to his knees in the mud and cursed heaven. He called the river evil. He called his loss cruel. He called life unjust. Across the hill, Mara's poor little shack still stood. The water had never reached it. The bitter thing. Ruined and ashamed, Elian had nowhere to go. So the one person who opened her door to him was the woman he had silently judged. Mara gave him dry clothes, half a loaf of bread, and a place near the fire. She did not ask him to explain his tears. She did not remind him of his arrogance. She only said, "You can stay until your feet remember how to stand." Elian hated those words at first. He did not want shelter. He wanted his old life back. He did not want wisdom. He wanted his comfort restored. Living with Mara felt like punishment. Her home was small. Her meals were plain. Her routines were hard. She wasted nothing, spoke little, rose before sunrise, worked without complaint. At first, Elian felt humiliated, but slowly, something strange happened. In losing excess, he began to see clearly. He learned how to mend instead of replace, how to eat with gratitude instead of hunger for more, how to work without needing applause, how to sit in silence without turning bitter. The life he had called miserable held a strength his old comfort never gave him, and the loss he had cursed began, slowly, to rebuild him into someone better than the man he had been while wealthy. The thing hidden inside it. One evening, as the fire burned low, Elian asked Mara the question that had been growing inside him for months. Why do you never seem angry at what life denied you? Mara looked at the flames for a long moment. Then she said, because I have lived long enough to see gifts become poison and pain become protection. Elian said nothing, so she continued. That land by the river made you proud. You thought it was your salvation, but it was drowning you before the flood ever came. Her words struck him harder than the river had. You mourn the silver because you think it was good, she said, but it fed the worst parts of you, and you hated this poor house because you thought it was beneath you. Yet this house taught you how to live again. Elian lowered his head. For the first time, he saw the truth whole. The blessing had not been purely good. The disaster had not been purely evil. One had made him hollow. The other had made him human again. Final ending. Years later, Elian rebuilt a home of his own. Not by the river, not on the richest land, but on higher ground, with steadier hands and a quieter heart. He still remembered the silver, still remembered the flood, still remembered how quickly he had judged both. When villagers later came to him in their own seasons of joy or grief, he never rushed to name either one a blessing or a curse. He would only say, wait, life hides its meanings badly at first. And when Mara died, it was Elian who buried her on the hill above the valley she had survived all her life. He stood there long after the grave was covered, not with despair, but with understanding. Because the thing he once thought looked like a small, unlucky life had become the reason his own soul was saved. Reflection. What feels good is not always good for you. Comfort can weaken. Success can corrupt. Ease can make a man forget who he is. And what feels painful is not always your enemy. Loss can expose the lies you were living in. Hardship can teach what comfort never will. Even ruin can become rescue when it strips away the part of you that was quietly rotting. We are too eager to label things. Blessing, curse, good, bad. But life often waits until later to reveal what something truly was. So be careful what you praise too quickly, and be careful what you condemn too soon. Some gifts destroy slowly, some sorrows save quietly.